Hey, I'm Elias, and our topic is gun rights, law, safety, and the Second Amendment. This is a big issue in America today, with people arguing about safety, freedom, and what the Constitution really means. Did you know that there are 100 people per 120 guns in America? Or is this wrong? Is this a reasonable constitutional right? I will show countries' different gun control policies, how states interpret the Constitution, and liberal versus conservative ideologies. The right to bear arms is stated simply in the Second Amendment. However, many see this as outdated and unclear. 79% of homicides are committed with a gun in the US, and of those, 93% are unregistered firearms. This makes it very easy to get a gun in America. There are many interpretations of this amendment as well, like is it regarding to an individual or a militia? States cannot pass laws that infringe on the Second Amendment. However, states are free to interpret the law as they see fit. Virtually every state in the country has an explicit protection of the right to keep and bear arms in its constitution. Only California, Maryland, Minnesota, New Jersey, and New York lack a provision like the Second Amendment. The Gun Control Act of 1968 was passed after the assassinations of JFK, MLK, and Attorney General Robert Kennedy. It prohibits certain individuals from owning firearms, including convicted felons and individuals with mental illness. It also included mandated restrictions and federal licenses to wield a gun. Presidents can take executive actions on gun rights. President Trump removed a rule that made it harder for people with mental illnesses from owning firearms. President Biden has pushed for red flags and rules on ghost guns, which are homemade guns that are untraceable. These actions can affect gun laws without Congress passing a bill. In 2008, the Supreme Court in D.C. versus Heller ruled that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to own a gun, even if they are not in a militia. This ruling was a major win for gun rights supporters, as it changed how courts looked at gun laws across the nation today. The public opinion is really split. According to Pew Research, about half of Americans in the U.S. want stronger gun laws, and the other half say that's going too far. A lot of people support background checks and red flag laws, while others worry about losing their guns. This divide makes it hard for the government to pass any new national gun laws. In Australia, following the 1996 Port Arthur massacre, in which 35 people died, the Australian government implemented the National Firearms Agreement, or NFA, introducing strict gun control measures nationwide. This concluded a ban on automatic and semi-automatic weapons, a mandatory gun buyback program that removed 650,000 firearms from circulation, and a strict licensing requirements such as background checks. As a result, Australia has seen significant decrease in gun violence. Brazil has historically had strict gun laws. Civilian gun ownership is heavily regulated under the Disarmament Statute in 2003, which requires a license, bans carrying firearms outside the home, requires psychological tests, background checks, and justification for ownership. However, under President Jair Bolsonaro in 2019, gun laws were relaxed. Brazil consistently ranks among the highest in the world for gun-related homicides. The National Rifle Association, or NRA, is a powerful group that supports gun rights. They spend millions of dollars on campaigns and ads to stop gun control laws. The NRA believes the government should not limit gun ownership, and they argue that people need guns to protect themselves. A nonprofit organization called Everytown for Gun Safety is dedicated to stopping gun violence by promoting bills and getting laws signed that make it harder for teenagers and unlawful people to own a gun. They're the largest organization currently promoting gun safety nationally. Texas is a conservative state with very loose gun laws. In 2021, they passed a constitutional carry law allowing permitless carry, meaning most adults can carry a handgun with no license. With the removal of LTC regulations, Texas faces new problems with gun-related crime and violence. California decided to enforce super strict gun laws, some of the strictest in the nation. Governor Gavin Newsom signed 24 bills to enhance gun safety, trying to prevent ghost guns and protect domestic violence survivors. According to Gifford Law Center, California is ranked number 1 in gun law strength and has an extremely low gun death rate. Governor Newsom of California has proposed a 28th Amendment to place new restrictions on gun ownership. This was proposed in 2022 before the 28th Amendment was made. However, his idea to call a convention to put 4 restrictions on gun selling has never happened and continues to be something that only California seems interested in. As gun technology advances and more guns are being sold every day, there's a good chance that gun laws will become more strict. However, where America is going right now, it makes sense that the Supreme Court rulings will expand individual gun rights. I still think that every state will differ in its gun control policies, as there will probably be less federal and more state-issued gun laws. We saw in our research that conservative states seem to be for gun possession freedom, while liberal states seem to be for gun safety and stricter laws. Thanks for listening to my presentation on gun rights. I learned a lot while researching this topic. My resources include the White House, History.com, EBSCO Research, and books like The Right to Bear Arms by Duchess Harris. I hope you learned something new today, too.